guys! Welcome back. You have to be getting tired of seeing me start these videos without any makeup because believe me, I'm tired of seeing me without makeup. But I kind of wanted to take a step back in today's video because I think it was 2 or 3 videos ago I reviewed what was new at Ulta. And one of the things that I reviewed was this foundation. This is the Maybelline Super Stay 24-hour foundation. Now normally when I do foundations, I kind of like to give it, more time and really go in depth with it, but I didn't get a chance to do that with this. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't because while I was editing that video, I remembered that maybe a couple of months back, I ordered the same foundation off Amazon UK. Here is the UK version of the same Maybelline foundation. Now, I kind of thought about doing a whole bunch of different things with this, but honestly, I'm just going to put them on side by side and see how they perform together, what's similar, what's different, and kind of go from there. I actually really enjoyed this. I've used it with a sponge and I've used it with a brush, which I normally don't do, but I liked it a lot with the brush. And surprisingly, this one stood up to me blowing my nose every 5 minutes when I was feeling very sick. So that is definitely something to be proud of on this side. But I actually went and did some research on these because I didn't really want to go into this blind. Let's go ahead and start with the version that just launched here in the US. This has 16 shades and it ranges from very fair, which this is actually the second lightest shade. The lightest shade is way too light for me, so that's kind of a new problem that I've been having, but I'm okay with that. And it goes really, really deep. Like the darkest shade is a rich, beautiful chocolate brown. It's not really as inclusive as the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, but that's okay. It's kind of meant to be something a little bit different. And to be honest, like completely honest with you, I wish I liked the Maybelline Fit Me, but I just don't. Doesn't matter which one, dewy and smooth, matte and poreless, whatever they're called. They just do not hold up on my skin. And people with oily skin just absolutely love them. Girl, I can't. It's just, it doesn't work for me, and it really just, it breaks apart on my nose really bad and on my upper lip, and it just looks awful after a couple of hours, so sorry. I didn't really like that one. But the shade range, again, like I said, not quite as inclusive, but it's supposed to be something completely different anyway. And this is off the Maybelline website itself, so there's a whole section on there about why you will love this foundation. And it says it delivers 24-hour wear for concentrated coverage and a flawless finish that doesn't fade or shift all day. Saturated color pigments provide an ultra-transforming effect in this long-lasting foundation. That is true. The lightweight yet high-impact coverage formula glides onto the skin for a flawless makeup finish. Whoops. Says it's oil-free, doesn't clog pores, and dermatologist tested. Now on the other hand, we're back to the UK one. This one, I think I have a discontinued shade, honestly. This is shade 05, I think, light beige. And their shades I think it started at 10, which is, I don't even know the lightest one for this, but it's something completely different. And it only comes in 7 shades. And unfortunately, those 7 shades are not very inclusive. It basically spans like light to medium skin tones. So if you are fair or deep, you're kind of getting left out of this. Like I said, I think this is a discontinued shade, so this is actually one lighter than what's available on the Maybelline UK website. Now this UK version actually has some pretty bold claims that ours didn't make. That says it is transfer resistant up to 24-hour makeup and moves flexibly with your skin. I kind of like that because this one didn't necessarily say it was transfer resistant. It said something similar. It said that it doesn't fade or shift all day, but that's not transfer resistant. The benefits of this one says that it looks and feels naturally flawless all day. The Microflex formula provides up to 24-hour wear and is transfer resistant. That's 2 times. Withstands heat, sweat, transfer, and touch. Oh, it said it 3 times. Contains no perfume and is tested under dermatological control. Suitable for all skin types. And also, this one says that it's best applied with your fingers. I've got to say, I'm probably not going to be applying this with my fingers, but we are going to test them both out. So, UK formula on my left side or your right, and the US formula here on my right or your left. And I think the fairest way to do this, honestly, is to use brushes. At this point, I don't know if I'm just got lazy, but I don't have 2 good sponges to test this with, and I really don't want to use the same sponge, like literally the same sponge for both, because it's going to kind of contaminate each color. So to keep them separate, we're going to use 2 brushes that are exactly the same, except one has a gold handle, one has a silver handle. I'll link the video where I first tested the US version of the Maybelline foundation right here in the little eye, but I definitely think it's a super, super matte formula. So we'll see how this one does. This one doesn't claim to be matte at all. Like, this one actually does say it's matte. This one doesn't say squat, so we will find out. I'm going to go ahead and do 1 pump on the back of my hand. And then I'm just going to take my finger and dot it all over the left side of my face. Okay, now let's get to blending this in. So off the bat, this is what it looks like after blending it out with the brush. I don't really feel like the coverage is as good with this one as it is with the US version, but I'm going to go ahead and just use up whatever's on the back of my hand here. The one thing I do like about this, though, is a lot of foundations that aren't made here, that are made abroad somewhere, tend to have a very perfumey scent. And this one doesn't have a smell at all, which I love. Which also means that it'll probably do much better on my skin than ones that do have a scent. So that is a big plus. Okay, now here I'm going to do 1 pump of this on the back of my hand. And I'm going to take my finger, just like I did on the other side, and just dot this all over this half of my face. And just start blending out these crazy looking chicken pox. I think now it's pretty easy to see the difference. I still have a whole bunch of this left on the back of my hand versus I had to use the entire pump of the UK version to get the coverage that I wanted on this half of my face. I do feel like this side actually, it looked kind of dark in the bottle, but I think this turned out to be almost a perfect shade match for me. Now this side will oxidize a little bit, so what you're seeing right now isn't going to quite be the finished shade, but this one stays tacky quite a bit longer, and this one dried down almost instantly to a very, very nice powdery finish. I really like that. So here is what both of the shades look like side by side. The darker of the 2 is the UK Super Stay, and the lighter of the 2 is the US Super Stay. That's a really giant shade difference, considering both of these are pretty much the lightest shades that are offered, with the exception of the US version actually has one that's one lighter than this, and the UK one is now discontinued. Although they definitely look completely different in swatches, I think because this UK one is a much cooler undertone, that's why it's meshing so well with my own skin tone. I think they're both very wearable for me. Obviously, I've worn this one before, so, you know, I haven't had any problems, but this one for sure suits my undertone better, while this one comes up a little more neutral, if not like a little more, like leans a little more yellow. But I'm actually going to go ahead and put the rest of my makeup on over this, see how it works, how it blends out, if I have any problems, and I'll be right back. And we're back. The rest of my makeup is on, and honestly I'm kind of surprised at how I felt while I was blending out other products on top of these foundations. This side still, I feel like it's never quite really dried down this whole time, even though I've set it and everything. It still feels kind of unset, like slightly tacky, but it's not moving, which is weird. This side, on the other hand, feels like powder, and I really like that. So a lot of the products, like I used powder bronzer, powder blush, powder highlighter, I felt like it all blended a lot better on this side than it did on this one. But I kind of feel like now, with all of my makeup done, you know, all the steps complete, it's harder to tell now that these two shades really didn't match in the first place. If I'm being totally honest, I think the UK version was the winner for me. I like the way it dried down. It was more my skin tone, like the undertones matched, and everything blended out really well on top of it. It didn't say anywhere online or on the bottle that this is a matte finish, but it did dry down matte just like its friend here, but dried down to powder instead of like this slightly tacky finish that I feel like probably won't ever dry completely. And obviously the downside to this one is this shade seems to be discontinued. It is not on their website. I can't find anything about it. You can still purchase it on Amazon UK, which is where I got this from in the first place, but the lightest shade on their website I think is one darker than this, so the shade range kind of sucks. I will definitely still wear this one. It is the only foundation so far that has lasted through me being sick. So it's definitely a reason to keep this one around. It's not bad by any means. I still really like it, but I do like this one just a little bit better. But if you're on the extremely fair side or the extremely deep end of the foundation spectrum, this one right here is going to be your gal. There's a shade lighter than me, which almost never happens, and there's these really deep, dark, rich, beautiful shades at the other end of the spectrum that a lot of other companies, other foundation ranges just don't have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did filming it. It was a little different than what I normally do with foundations, but since I had them both here, I figured why not test them out, pit them against each other, see how they do. They both feel like they are going to last a long time. It's just kind of what you prefer and if you're willing to compromise it all on one or the other. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like always, you know what I'm going to say. If you enjoyed these videos, don't forget to give them a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave. I hope you guys are having an amazing week, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys!